Call this Brown County Commission meeting to order. We'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Kipling, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. Morning. First thing, approval of the agenda. Any amendments or corrections?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Kipling to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, we have a bid opening for a used 4-yard loader for the highway department.
Thank you. How's everybody today?
Good.
Good,
How
you?
are
Not so bad. I made it up here on time. Barely.
Pick start with it.
We got one bid from Diesel Machinery. For a WA 3, oh, here. There's one bid. You guys want a bid tab, or can you remember?
I think I can
Sure.
remember.
Hand you out some bar napkins or something to write it down on. All right, so the full price, this is for a used machine. It's $164,850. Since I'm coming back here in about an hour, can we just defer this? I want to double check it, just make sure everything's cool and go forward.
Okay.
So, it's WA 380-8.
Is that a Caterpillar?
No, Komatsu.
We got a motion from Kipling, a second by Piker to refer the bid opening.
Different shade of yellow.
Prices are approved for an hour. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
You just want someone who's got a hay grapple on it. Yeah. All right, I'll check that out, and then when I'm back here in a little bit, we'll... Good. Sounds
Yeah,
good.
we
All
got
right,
about
thank you.
2 minutes. You want to do just a couple of years, and then we'll jump back on in a couple of minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have the general meeting minutes from February 2nd.
Oh, thanks.
Moved by Sutton, second by Weiss to approve the general meeting minutes of February 2nd. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Claims.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Piker, second by Kipling to approve claims and payroll. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Part of those claims is the pay request for cell 4, their first drawdowns. We'd like to isolate that and approve that one separately. Move it.
Second.
Moved by Kipling, second by Piker to approve the drawdown for Banco Construction for their first allotment or first paycheck. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Can you come back to HR? I'm waiting for a text from Kurt.
Oh, yeah. The cropland lease.
Move. Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Weiss to approve the cropland lease. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Vehicle surplus for trade-in request.
Move. Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Weiss to approve the vehicle surplus for a trade-in. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, I think we'll move on to our next agenda item. It's 8:50. We have the landfill, Mike Scott, landfill manager, and Tim Kenyon, Houston Engineering. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Houston Engineering, formerly WSP, formerly LVG.
LVG.
And you're still there?
Yeah, LVG got bought by WSP. Which is like
I know how that goes when you go down the ladder. You got to be a little careful.
Probably a 50,000 person company, and a 6-person office didn't fit their business plan. So they closed the Sioux Falls office, and me and my staff had to have a place to go, so we
So the
landed
majority
in
of the staff
Houston, and
went with Houston and
they all went with me, yeah. So we
so we're
went to
kind of
Houston, and
following suit. We're just
Okay.
they got the same team of folks working, just a different 3-letter acronym.
consistency, yeah, I guess, with just a different name.
It's a different name.
You want to just tell them what you're going to do for us?
The state requires monitoring, groundwater monitoring, and that's what we're doing at the west side, at the closed east side, at the old landfill, at the formerly closed one that's kind of on the south end. and some methane monitoring and monitoring in the water in the stormwater pond, kind of all the fluid monitoring in the landfill. And at the end of the year, we write a report. So that's kind of in a nutshell.
So how many samples, annual samples, or and how does that work?
There's a lot.
There's a semi-annual.
Semi-annual. We come out in, we come out in fact, my guy will be here probably next week to do water levels in all the wells. And then he'll be back in May, late May, early June for sampling. And then in September for water levels, and then in October, November for another sampling. So we sample twice a year. And I think there's on the order of 15 monitor wells. So it's a bunch of sampling.
It takes a while, once they come on site, to do all the full-blown sampling from methane. They sample all the ponds, wastewater, leachate, stormwater, everything.
Yep.
So these are annual contracts. We had one for 2020, now
That's
we're on
correct.
to 2021, and
Yep,
we just go
correct.
forward annually each time.
I think we're right at 58 to 59,000.
And this contract covers writing a report for the data that was done last
Last
year.
year.
So it's for the services performed in that calendar year. So
And then that report goes to DNR.
goes to
Correct.
the DNR, yeah. The DANR?
DENR.
Or
The
the DANR, or
DANR
whatever
now.
they're gonna call it now. I don't know about that.
Let's see.
Yeah.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Sutton, a second by Piker to approve the Houston Engineering discuss the 2021 contract. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right.
You're good to
Good
go.
enough to be in compliance, you gotta prove it.
That's right. Just one other item of discussion is some possible waste from the neighbors to the north, Ashley, North Dakota.
Yep.
They've had some issues with their landfill up there. They're looking at possibly in the interim, until they can either figure out another location up there, they'd like to possibly bring up some of their waste.
Yeah, and you had notified us that it wouldn't affect your ability or anything on our landfill for the amount of waste they have.
The amount that they have, like I said, the state, and I can forward this to you, but they had, they used to have Waste Management had owned some of the landfills up there, and some of the more less productive landfills they've kind of taken out of service, and this is one of them in that area, and it's going to affect some of the other smaller towns, but this is the only one that's contacted me. Possibly some other ones will come down into Walworth. So,
This we're in.
just an FYI, I guess we're only looking at maybe 500 to 600 tons of trash, where we're taking in roughly 60,000 a year, so it's really not a large impact.
So do we need a motion for that?
Not until we get a formal request from them. They've got to put it in writing and request access to our facility. But there's really no restrictions, there are no permits or anything needed. It's just more of a informational.
Do they have a haul company then, like Waste Management or something, that hauls their garbage down to you, or do they own their own?
It would be their own trucks. It would be their own. They had a commission meeting, I think, last Friday, but I haven't heard back from them this week, so.
That would be quite an expense for them to...
It is to haul it, you know, they just don't generate that much waste.
Where's our next closest? North?
I think it was
Jamestown?
east of there, someplace.
There's Fargo, Jamestown, Gwinner, Bismarck, that part of the world.
Sounds to me like they need a side dump, put a tarp on it.
Yeah, they'd probably be bringing a rear load compactor truck down with probably 8 to 10 ton of trash on it, is my guess.
If you lose your site and you're trying to develop another one, that takes time and money.
Right, and they wouldn't develop it, they would just have to hook on with another facility that's either farther away or not as accessible, or it just depends. But,
Well, good.
so that's where we're at, and I'll let you know here as that moves forward, where we're at with that one.
Sounds good.
All right, otherwise, cell construction is, as Dennis and Doug saw last week, is
Impressive.
progressive. It is impressive and progressive.
There's not a lot of gray-haired, bald-headed guys out there, I can tell you that kill them riding them scrapers. Boy, oh boy, oh boy.
You gotta be careful when you go out there, because it's like a bunch of ants, because when they're moving, they're moving.
Yeah, they were moving anywhere from 20 20 to 30,000 yards of material a day. And they've been working, even when it's cold like this, they've had a few issues with tires and a couple other things, but for the most part, they've been up. This second set of 10 days, they'll have the bulk of the dirt moved, and that would probably be just in a 20-day stretch.
Mm-hmm.
They go 10 days and then 5 days off and then 10 days again.
Yep. So,
The plan seems to be working.
yep, good company. I guess these guys met, the owner was there.
Nice
Very
guy.
personal fellow.
Good
Yeah,
guy. Very nice
yeah,
guy.
really nice company.
Good. We done good.
So, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All I got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have extra inspections.
Not today, though.
Did you want the signed contract?
Do you want that right now?
Jim, you want to take
I
that
can
with
take
you?
it now, or you can send it in the mail, whatever works easiest.
He just will take it. One copy for us and one for him.
Signature.
Thank you very much. Stay warm.
Thank you.
Take care.
Care.
Thank you. Yep.
Next item on the agenda, Kathy, we have the surplus cash designation from the CARES Act revenue. We wanted to,
That was your, Rachel, you
Yeah.
had this request?
So the document that you emailed to us with the row label, so is that just how much is being displaced in each fund?
That's how much revenue was received into each fund.
From the CARES Act?
Yes.
And so the general is what we have access to, the others are
The others
designated?
are restricted to those funds because the expense came from those funds.
So the 3.3 is what we're looking at, or what is the
Mhm.
2.5? It says general fund is 3.3 million, but then below it, it says 2.5 allocation.
That was the
Oh,
original.
that was our original allocation, and then I was just showing how much extra we had received.
so we started off with 2.5, and then we got the second round, or the additional, which went up to 3.3 or 3.1, whatever it was,
Okay,
Rachel.
so the 2.5 and then the 1.6 is the second?
It's the extra
Okay,
allocation.
so how much would we have available if we wanted to set it aside? Is that
I
the
would
3?
recommend the general fund amount is what you could
3.3, okay.
choose to restrict for future.
What is it, 3.3, what?
Yeah, I would make a motion, we take $3,336,444.68 and move it into a capital improvement fund for the county.
Second.
We have a motion by Kippley, a second by Fikert.
Can you do that number one more
Yeah,
time?
$3,336,444.68.
All of it?
Yes, please.
Okay, we have a motion to move the funds over to the general.
From general into a special revenue, capital
It'll sit
improvement.
as assigned revenue in our general fund, and it will just be for capital improvement. When you get your cash sheet, you'll see it sitting in the general
Shows
fund.
obligated but not expended.
Yeah, but you are not able to spend it unless you come with a capital improvement project and make a motion to use that assigned revenue. So it'll roll over year after year until it's...
We have the motion by Kippley, a second by Fikert. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 9 o'clock, we have Dave Lunsman, Chief Deputy Sheriff, Brown County Jail.
Morning, Dave.
Boy, we're getting right on target here.
Morning.
Boy.
Ready.
Time, what's it? Well, no, you're not gonna be ready,
We
but
get some minutes.
Good morning.
Morning.
everybody today?
Over to-
Good, how are you?
So far, so good?
Good.
We'll see after
Still
this.
early?
We'll get a cell phone.
Morning.
Good morning. I just wanted to, we had some, what we knew was gonna come up last week, really kind of came to a head, so I figured I better come in here and give you guys a quick heads up. Last week, I guess our COVID slowdown in the jail has officially come to an end, beyond an end. We had to send 9 of our prisoners out to other facilities. Thankfully, they were able to squeeze them in. My concern is what are we going to do when those facilities no longer can take them? Where are we going to take them? How much is it going to cost us? Currently, we're at 6 out of our facility right now, so it's not huge cost, but eventually it will add up. Right now, we're paying anywhere from $85 to $90 per night per prisoner. That averages out to $2,500 to $2,700 per week per inmate, or a little over $30,000 a year. If we stay at 5 prisoners only, we're looking at, in the neighborhood of about $150,000 to $160,000 a year. And that's at our current rate. And that doesn't include the trips we have to go pick them up and bring them back, man hours, overtime, all that kind of stuff. If we're paying at normal rate, no overtime, we're at about $150 a trip. If we're paying overtime, you can go anywhere from $200 to $250 a trip. That could be once a week, could be 5 times a week. We don't know. Just depends on who we have. My concerns are, one, the cost of the county. It's going to get expensive for the county no matter how we do that. But the other thing that I wanted to bring up is these other counties may not have capacity. They may not be able to take us for very long. And then where do we go? Everybody's pretty well full. And what happens if they decide, whoa, they don't have any place else to go, we're going to raise it from $85 to $120 or $125 or $150 per night. What are we going to do besides pay it? And I really hate to be hamstrung by another county, you know. And if they don't have room, we don't have any place to bring them. North Dakota's full, Minnesota's full. We may be looking at where most of them are taking Colorado now. That would take overnight stays. You're talking about a fleet of vehicles and a fleet of people, which if we had to transport them that far, the security issues are in question. So I just want to make sure that you guys are up to date where we're at, where we're headed. We don't foresee this going anywhere but up. I know it's a problem. Everybody's wants, you know, the county's strapped for money, but I really hate to have to pay other people's county roads out of our road fund too, you know. Fall County and Day County is going to be pretty happy with their road systems after we get done paying for them. That's kind of where we're headed. And we somehow got to find a solution that's a long-term solution. And in my mind, the way projections are for our increases in our populations are just going to go up. And with the increases of population, that means we're just going to increase in our inmate population. Somehow we got to take care of, we got to take care of our own first, but in the same aspect, if we can consolidate with other counties and bring the money here versus us giving them the money, seems to be more reasonable for our taxpayers. Last thing we need to do is tell our taxpayers we're spending $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 on them from our coffers. I don't want to do that. That's really doesn't seem to be the best solution. So I just wanted to make sure that you were up to date what we're facing. And I guess it's up to you guys to help us find a solution or work on a solution, but some way, shape, or form we're heading in the wrong direction. And even if we were to increase our capacity here, start today, it's 2.5, 3 years down the road before we'll ever see use of it, and I don't know what we're going to do in between that time. I really don't. It's bleak everywhere for inmate spaces and what we're going to do with them, and I'm worried about our safety. How do we separate inmates? How do we keep people that aren't supposed to be with one another? How do we have the low-level offenders separated from the upper echelon offenders, along with now we still have COVID. Once in a while we have some COVID scares. How do we separate them? What about our high-risk mental health issues, which we are seeing increases? How do we separate them from the rest? We're running out of space, just plain running out of space in order to keep everybody safe. And we all know that we want, if they come in, they still need to be safe as an inmate as well as you know, on the streets. So that's our goal. So I don't want to make this a long presentation. You guys all know where we're at, but I just wanted to make sure you guys are updated that we currently have what we have out and what we're projecting to be out of our facility and what our costs are.
Well, looking at the daily numbers, I know we've been significantly higher before. Is the 9 that we had to transport out, is that due to what you're talking about, is not being able to mix them with other people?
That's part of it, along with COVID, along with, on that day, we did have way more prisoners than jail could ever handle. So we had to get 9 of them out quickly. Thankfully, within a couple days, Lynn was able to, along with the judges, of course, letting some people out or meeting bonds or whatever, we were able to bring some of them back, and now we're just at 6 out of the facility.
The high was not, how many did we have out?
Out, 9 at one time, yes.
So the issue isn't just us alone. I know there's a lot of other counties facing the same thing. Is there, and we've talked as an association about things we can do at the state level. Is the Sheriff's Association working? Is there any plans for legislation or any headway being made there?
Well, I contacted our legislators, and so far, I've been, 2 of them have responded. One had stated that they had 2 bills that would have helped alleviate this. They were both crushed at the first level. The third one, again, is still kind of hanging on by threads, but when I read the possibility of it, it doesn't seem like it's really going to give us money. I'm not sure what it's going to do,
Or
actually.
the ability to raise money?
Correct. Those seem to get shot down in Pier for some reason. I don't understand it, but that's kind of what's happening. We were trying to shoot for, there's a little bit of money they're claiming that they could spend, but that got shot down also. So right now, Pier's not helping us. I don't know if they'll be able to.
Sure.
I wish that was different. So I don't, I know what the final answer is, but how to get there and how to get the money is a whole different ballgame. And we do, we've turned down 2 contracts that they wanted guaranteed space. We've turned those down in the neighborhood of about $75,000 a year guaranteed money.
Each?
No, total. At this point, we've been contacted by other counties, and we just have told them we cannot do it. We will give them contracts for so much per night if we have room, but right now we just don't have that room, so we're turning possible income away right now. Just
About a month ago, we were down to, I think probably the lowest numbers that I saw were in the 30s, low 30s. And I think, did you say that because of the issue with COVID is less now, that's why the increase? I mean, there had to be a reason why at some point there were, because I think we've been averaging maybe 45, 46, somewhere in that range, when we went down to the into the 30s. Is it because the judges were not putting them in the jail?
Correct.
Which reduced the numbers. Now, some of those folks are going back in. Is that what's happening?
Mostly what happened is they kicked the can down the road, and they ran out of road, and now we're starting to get influxes with people that have to do their time for DUIs or for petty offenses or smaller amounts. They kept them out as long as they could, and now we're just having to pay the piper now. And the backload is so great that it's just going to get worse.
The federal building, the federal court, would there be any possibility that something could be done over there in that building? Some kind of a short-term renovation to hold those, like the DUI offenders and some of those, until something could be worked out to keep some of those prisoners, those less violent prisoners somewhere. And I mean, and I don't know what it would take to look into something like that. There's a lot of room up there. I mean,
yes, there is a lot
and
of
there's
room.
security there.
There's security at the front gate. We have to worry about the security still, even though they're low levels. We still have to have people watching them. That could be cameras.
Absolutely.
That could be. We just don't know.
It would take more. We'd have to hire more people in order to manage that. There'd have to be some remodeling.
Correct.
I don't know how much, but I mean, that's a thought that goes through my mind, kind of in the interim to.
And we would have to make sure that the walls are compliant with the federal regulations and all the regulations for jails and such. I don't know if they meet those or not. Those are questions we don't have answers to.
Our JDC situation was temporary too, and that was over 30 years ago.
True. And we're running pretty close to capacity, if not at capacity, every day in JDC also. Just depends on the circumstances. Sometimes we run up and down. This last time we had to trade a juvenile for getting space for adults in another facility. We took their juvenile, freed up more space for adults over in the other facility. So we kind of horse traded a little bit. Thankfully, we were able to. We had one more space and one more juvenile, and that freed up quite a bit of adult space.
Well, as you mentioned, COVID just, illustrates it even more, is the constant juggle with the type of population mix that you have, male to female, violent, non-violent, special needs,
Yes.
and all the rest of those kinds of things, because it's not, you've got what you've got for cell blocks and so forth, and trying to commingle.
Correct.
You never have the right number. You've got what's supposedly the ideal capacity. If you had the ideal number, but that's never the right situation. So.
Ever changing, every day. It can be every hour, every minute it can change. And then also us having to keep different co-defendants apart, or victims and suspects apart, depending on the circumstances, can get to be challenging, as Lynn can attest to.
What does it cost for us to house a daily prisoner in our jail? If it's $85.90 to go to Falk or whatever, what is it approximate for food, shampoos, the whole thing with our jail? Has anybody ever figured out what it costs us per inmate?
It's probably about $15 to $20 a day, somewhere in that neighborhood.
That's with our labor and everything?
You'd have to figure labor there too.
That's not with the labor, that's just with the meals, the hygiene products, and basically the lights and the heating that we provide. That's not including what we pay for our staff.
And we charge people at 90?
We charge 85. Everybody here is 85.
Well, most of the counties across the board are 85, except for Falk County's at 90 right now.
Because they got the nice spots.
Back 25 years ago, there was a company came in and presented a program, and I think Rapid City had. There were module units that was proposed to go out at the industrial park. Remember that? Anybody remember that deal? Anyway, and I think the one at Rapid City, I think, came apart, or how I say, it didn't work out. Well, this one here, the one that was proposed here, didn't pass the commission approval, and I just wonder if is there anything out there? I mean, any companies out there that have any programs or any module unit for like bad check writers and the nonviolent like the DUIs and those things? I just
Like mini ha-ha, like you're talking like a work release type center or something to that effect?
Yeah.
I know Mini Ha-Ha's got one down there, I believe it's right off of Minnesota Avenue, and that's where their work release people kind of come in and out.
Would that work here?
Absolutely, but you would still need to build a big facility to house the inmates that you currently have, because right now we have anything from murderers to the NSF checks. And I think we currently got about 12 that are remanded right from court to serve jail time. And that's a big burden for us right now, because they have to come right from court and we have to make room for them, which is kind of pushing the numbers up forward too. So if you did have something to what you're asking, you could put those type of people into that facility and still be able to separate your murderers from your DUI or...
We talked about that for work release for a long time, because they need a much lower level of supervision, but pretty much anybody that you guys cooperatively can justify having out, you're already doing that.
Yeah.
So those 12 are already out? We don't have nonviolent folks here right now with those numbers you're giving us?
We do have them here.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're talking, we would alleviate 20%, if it's 12-ish of the 60 that are over there, 20% of the population could be displaced somewhere else?
Oh, yeah.
At a lower level, roughly, is that kind of a...
Oh, sure. And, depending on the facility that you have, you could put a NSF NSF check a DUI, because typically they're not usually a violent offender, but we're really starting to push the borders of having quite a few violent offenders in with these people, and it's not just murder. There's rapes back there that are looking for 40-plus years that they probably ain't gonna get out, you know, for a long, long time, and they have nothing to lose, and they all know it. And unfortunately, those are the ones that we're putting on to other facilities. The reason why that is because when they go out to other facilities, we don't have to deal with them for a while because they don't have their courts coming up anytime soon. So we don't have to keep transporting them back and forth. It's kind of a double-edged sword. Either I put the more high-risk ones, putting our staff more at risk, and putting the public at risk, and putting them into these other facilities, or we're doing a lot more shuttling with more staff and more vehicles and whatever comes from that. So
That puts them at risk during those periods of time as well.
And unfortunately, one of the big fears is too, is, you know, I got a guy down in Fulton that's been convicted of 14 felonies, and he's looking at quite a few more coming down the pipe here. If they do become violent down there, when are they gonna say, well, we're not gonna take Brown County inmates anymore?
So we clicked on the phone. I wonder if we got cut off.
Would you mind speaking up for the phone?
Yep. So what I'm saying is, if these violent offenders do get down there and they do cause problems for these other counties, and some of these counties ain't built like Brown County. They don't have the staff, they don't have the manpower, they don't even have the training that Brown County does have. Fortunately, we're pretty good about our training, but they cannot deal with some of these people that are coming into their custody. And they could tell us, we're not taking them. So that's really going to put us in a bind again, too.
Well, it's part of the business we're in. We have a responsibility, and it's growing.
Yes.
And unfortunately, too, the counties that we have been using are way smaller than us, and they kind of look to us to help them out more than we ask them for help. So we got lucky, like Dave said, this last week, so they helped us out.
There's several of our neighboring counties who have no facilities.
Correct.
You know, holding cell at best for one or two for a very temporary situation, certainly not the long term.
Correct.
Yeah. And there's been times where we've taken them out of Roberts County because they couldn't deal with that violence offender to bring them down to them, because they just don't have the space.
Yep.
Well, and they have no obligation to take any of our prisoners, but if they are causing trouble or damaging their facilities, they can refuse them anytime they want to, and we have to find room for them, no matter what. So,
We'll get them.
yeah, and we
Well,
have
they're all in the same boat. I mean, you guys cooperatively in a whole network and just trying to help each other out as best you can with what's limited facilities, but they're just flat isn't enough, period.
we're running out fast, and everybody's running out, and I just know that a fix is never quick or simple or cheap. But somehow we have to look in the future and see a long-term solution for this problem, and it's unfortunately going to be increasing numbers of beds some way, shape, or form.
Okay.
So, just wanted you guys to be aware, because
I have an unrelated
wall.
question.
Sure.
Our medical on our prisoners, if they're not a Brown County resident, say they're in Iowa or whatever state they're from, but their offense is Brown County, does that mean we have to pay their medical bill? Is there any option to bill anybody else for that, or? I guess it's just a thought I had.
No, because what happens, we just had an incident with Arizona where we arrested a guy for their warrant, and it was all their responsibility for any medical treatment that they had gotten while they were up here. We took care of that manpower and stuff to get them to the hospital and take care of their appointments and whatever else, but Arizona paid for that whole entire inmate. And we would have to pay for, if we shipped them out to any other state or even any other county, we have to pay for that. That is our responsibility, just like any other county would have to pay for us.
But he wasn't being held for an infraction here, he was being held on an outside
Correct.
warrant.
That's the key point that you want to make sure you understand. Arizona's on the hook to pay for that because he was in custody because of an Arizona warrant. If he was from Arizona and we
Snatch him up for something
put him
here.
in jail for an offense committed in Brown County,
And he's
Brown
ours.
County would be on the hook for
Right.
his medical expense.
That's probably a silly question, but I thought it just crossed my mind when I seen a couple of medical reports, and I seen Iowa in there, and I thought, I wonder how this works for sure, and I just
Mhm.
was curious.
It's not a silly question, it's a very good question, because that has come up. Since I've taken over the jail in 2019, that question has come up more times than not. And it's not just from you guys, but other agencies or whatever.
You have the same thing if they're veterans and they're eligible for benefits and things like that. Work really hard to try and make sure that, you know, you get those things covered that direction. That's a lot of work too, but I mean, that's ongoing.
Okay, I appreciate the time, appreciate the update.
You bet.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Ran over, Dirk's gonna be mad.
Or you can come around for the printer deal?
Next item,
Morning.
we
Oh,
have
thank you.
Pat Wolberg with the IT Director, software purchase.
I don't like to print, but I do that. This is the product
It's just not colored.
Yeah. This is the product I'm recommending going with.
Thank you.
It's a bundle package I got through. It's for new antivirus. Our old antivirus is expiring the end of the month. So we need something new. We had Trend Micro, like security agent. Talking to Trend Micro, that is an end-of-life product. So we could extend one more year for $3,600 just for the antivirus, but I question their support on a product that they're no longer offering. Now, Trend offers a Trend Micro Plus that's coming out that does everything we want it to do, but it's almost as much as my whole package of software you'll see that I'm looking at here. We need, you know, an IT to function properly and be more efficient. We need some remote access software so we can, you know, in the summer when it's nice out, it's nice to go for a 3-block walk and type in my username and password and walk back. But in the winter when you gotta start your pickup for 15 minutes and drive over, so we need to, and then as far as the next projects that we have coming up, it'll be nice to have remote desktop software so we can remote in and offer customer support to, you know, all the employees in the county on their computers. This bundle package also has the antivirus, and it's a rebundled package of a Bitdefender, and depends which website you look at. Bitdefender ranks anywhere from number 1 to number 5 in the top 10 for 2021. So it's very good. Our old antivirus, the Trend Micro Agent, just does like database scans. So what viruses the world knows are out there, they only scan for those. It doesn't scan for any new viruses until somebody gets it, and then they add it to their database.
Doesn't see trends and...
Yep. The new one does heuristic scanning, which to me is a must. Heuristic scanning not only is more of a proactive threat protection, it also looks at file structure. So if a file, like an Excel file structure changes itself, it'll flag that as a virus as well. So it'll make us much more secure with all the public data that we have on our system that we would not want to get out. So those are the main two things, is the antivirus and remote desktop support, but this package also has asset management capabilities. So we can structure the asset management by department, and then every year we all have to do our inventory. We could export this inventory, that's live data, into an Excel file for all of our asset management. And being here 7 months, it's hard for me to even know how many computers we have out there, because you'll open a closet door and there's another computer that hasn't been turned on for a while. So, I think the asset management piece is critical. There's also a piece on here which I didn't really look at it for. It just comes with the bundle. We could do some endpoint backups if we wanted to, if we hand selected a few computers that have really critical stuff on that we could never lose. We could do backups and put it on some storage device on the network that's backed up as well. And then the fifth piece, I haven't really vetted yet, but there's also a help desk light version here. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if it'll encompass all of our help desk needs at this point, because I haven't seen it yet. I'm supposed to get a preview of that next week. But that's just kind of an added bonus to the whole thing. If that does whatever we want, then you know, we could replace our help desk system now. That's kind of not really utilized. So, so the cost for the bundle package is through SHI. If we have the government pricing, it's we have to pay for a government subscription to TeamViewer, which is $1,800. And then there's 3 user licenses. That's for me, Sean, and Corey. That's $90 a piece, so $270 there. And then the remote management bundle package, it has all the other 3 items. The endpoint stuff is $4,000 a year, which is what we would end up paying going forward. You know, our current, as I said, our current antivirus is limited. It's end of life, and it would cost us $3,600 a year, and it doesn't do what all we would want it to do. So that's the SHI quote, if you guys want to pass that around. I'm familiar with ESET, and, well, it used to be called LabTech and Automate. ESET's another antivirus software. And to go with ESET, as far as I can tell, comparing ESET to the Bitdefender, they pretty much do the same thing. They have a dashboard. You can see at a glance if anyone's got a virus. It'll send us an email if someone's got a virus. We can manually kick off a scan from our console to anyone's computer. We can set random scans. They both do the same thing. The ESET alone, the ESET licensing alone for 120 computers plus 45 servers is $6,480 a year, and a one-time fee of $1,940. So the first year would be $8,420, which is almost $2,500 less than the whole other package. And this is just for the antivirus. And then you would couple that with the remote desktop software, which used to be LabTech, now Automate bought it, and apparently they got way more expensive now that they're Automate. So an annual subscription to Automate for remote desktop software is $9,900, and they want $5,900 to configure and set up the network. So the first year would be $1,570, and then $4,000 a year for the licensing. That's basically what I got. You know, we got a better deal on the TeamViewer and the Bitdefender because we bundled it all. I could have broke it all out, so I didn't have to come to the commission meeting, but we got a better price going that avenue, plus the extra software suite that they threw in with it. The only other thing I got, changing subjects, is this.
Well, let's deal with this one. That's all right.
Okay.
So I'm guessing that this would be your recommendation.
Yeah, that would be my recommendation.
And TeamViewer is pretty much one of the top 2 or 3 when it comes to remote access, and there's some huge efficiencies to be had by that. If you've got somebody who's got an issue, you can remotely get in securely.
Remotely, and we can push out like third-party updates too through TeamViewer. So your Adobe Acrobats and all the, you know.
Is that used by anybody else in the county or anybody else that's relatively close in this region?
I've used it before at North Central and at Tegra, but they have a lot more in TeamViewer now than they did when I used it. We had version 9 or 10 of this. I mean, basically before it was just strictly a remote desktop software. Now it does a lot more.
I'm familiar with it. It's both secure and incredibly convenient and easy to use.
Right. And you can set it to do unattended access. So if we wanted to do maintenance and stuff at night when people aren't here, we could push out updates and stuff in the evening without people having to be sitting at their desk and not inconveniencing them during the day.
So then basically the difference is, from what we currently have that will expire in a year, is roughly $2,470 more.
Well, what
was $6,070, and we were paying $3,600. You said if we were going to continue with the company, that's going to expire in a year.
But the $6,070 is like 5 products. It's that.
Yep.
It's the remote desktop. The $3,600 is strictly just antivirus, which is end of life.
Yep.
So if we wanted to save for $3,600 and then go with $9,900 a year with the Automate, then that would be the difference.
Yeah, so I just wanted to clarify this is your recommendation, and I'll
Yes,
move it.
yes,
I'll
sir.
move it.
Second. Moved by Lee, second by Sutton, to approve the recommendation of the IT department to go with team management.
And you anticipated that in your budget already?
Yes, I had budgeted.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Good explanation.
Thank you. And I guess the next thing I have is kind of an earnest thing. They have I know it's an add-on to the agenda, hope that's okay, but they're looking at replacing a copier over in the state's attorney's office. Because the black and white one I have is 6 years old. It's got 1.5 million pages. I'm not sure the history on it. Sometimes in the past they bought refurbished printers. I'm not sure if that one was or not. But Century Business Product gets called about, on average, Sarah's telling me, like 3 times a week to come over and fix it because it was jamming all over the place. And Century doesn't even recommend working on it anymore. It's past its service life. And I tried to see if they would do like a buyback program, and they said they would, if we wanted them to dispose of it, there would be a disposal fee. So it's essentially, garbage at this point. Yeah, so they're looking at, I got a couple quotes. I got one from Marco, which Marco's a lesser printer. It didn't have a fax machine, so to add a fax, it would be about, almost $8,400. And Marco's cost per page per color is stagnant, so it's always 5 cents a copy, even if you just have one letter that's blue. So in the Century Business Products, Kia Sarah, I know from my previous employment that they have a tiered color print, so it's 3 cents, 5 cents, or 7 cents, I believe. So if you print something that's just got one color word, it's only 3 cents instead of a full. So it'll save a little bit of money there. The quote from CBP is $8,628, so about $230 more than the one at Marco. And the Marco is fewer pages per minute, and that was without the contract added. So I guess, unless you want to add anything, or Sarah's kind of asked me if I could bring it up this morning, but
Whose budget does that come out of?
not hers.
And then what's the monthly, is there a monthly charge then for?
It would be like it currently is. It's cost
Same.
per page. Like the only thing different is it'll help us in the long run, because I kind of would like to reduce some of the printers we have around here. And they have a color printer sitting right next to the black and white copier for color pages, which is way more cost per page than this will be. So we could eliminate one of the printers and just have the one color copier that does all our needs for that department.
This is a purchase, not a lease.
A purchase, not a lease. The lease ends up costing more. I talked to Sarah about both avenues. That other printer, that other copier that's over there, whether it was 0 pages when we got it or however many pages when we had it, in 6 years we did 1.5 million pages. They're currently looking at potentially getting some new case management software that is going to get them more towards paperless, so they're assuming that the printing is going to be hitting much less going forward. I recommended, I said, if you're going to print 1.5 million pages every 5 years, then I would probably lease, because you get a different device every 5 years. And she didn't think that would be the case, that they would be working towards doing much less printing.
Is there an annual contract then with that, or an annual fee after the purchase?
I'm not even sure.
What, for that?
Yeah, I think it's just cost per page.
Cost
When you
per
buy it
page.
out, it's just cost,
Yeah.
just cost per use is all it is, I think. And all of our copiers in the county are all Century Business Product. We have one Marco small printer in the whole county, and we have one A&B Business printer in the whole county, so I would rather not manage another
Can I look at this quick?
contract. Sure.
If we vote on it, I'm going to abstain because I'm aware of it, but I'm not involved in it. Yeah, this does also include the DM Connect, which is the exclusive gateway
Yeah.
scanning
Which
application.
they need for welfare and
Right.
state attorneys.
I don't think we have to.
And this one also has an internal stapler. The other one has an external stapler, and it's like 10 pages or something. I think this will do 100 page out of it.
So, like I said, I'm not involved, but I'm aware,
Right.
so I'm going to abstain.
No, I bet it. I mean,
5,000 and more needs to be a formal process. 2,500 to 1,500 just needs 2 formal quotes, and it doesn't say, I don't think, that we have to approve it.
That was my understanding, is that there's a quote guideline, and then there's a approval guideline, and I think we're under the guideline for approval. I think it just comes with 2 quotes to the commission, and I don't think we need a motion.
Do you still want the quotes presented to the commission, or?
Yeah, but if it's a contract, we'll have to approve that, but.
Okay.
But I don't know if we're comfortable doing it today since it's not on the agenda. I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but maybe
Okay.
throw it on for next week, and, or can we do it under software purchase since it's a copier? Maybe we need to wait.
Yeah. Well, if you're not
But
going
if
to
we're
take
not
action on the
approving it,
item
we
anyway.
The
don't-
contract, though. We have to approve signature of the contract, right?
And we could do that when the
Purchase agreement.
contract's presented. The contract's not presented today, is it?
Okay.
But
It's more of an informative thing.
Well, you're presenting without needing approval, so.
appreciate the heads up.
I have a question
Sounds
for you though, Pat.
Okay.
You saw the situation where people can't hear. I think the world we live in today with Zoom meetings and people calling in, can you move it maybe towards the front burner to upgrade our system in here, whether it be with a remote microphone or camera or
Yeah.
whatever, so that we're ready for the meetings as they continue this way?
Yeah,
So
we a
people
couple
can
weeks
hear.
ago, a couple weeks ago had this conversation, thinking that we probably need to. You know, they said over here, as soon as Lynn started talking up, they heard fine, so.
Sure.
But I think it'd be good, you can get the console that has one out in the middle, and then you can have the satellite mics and stuff.
Sure.
You can send it into each table so people will hear better, so yeah, you can certainly do that.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks.
One more question. The video has been uploaded for January 12th, but I don't see any of the other meetings. Are those coming online shortly, or, because I got an email saying they were on.
I'll talk to Tori. I know he worked one whole afternoon uploading them because it was stopping out our bandwidth at the building, so I'm not sure if they didn't make it there. I'll follow up on that. and let
I
you know.
appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Ernest.
Thank you again.
Okay, next item. Dirk Rogers, Highway Superintendent, right-of-way and utility certification, cert for Bridge 211. And also to look at the used 4-yard loader. Dirk, did he get bad leads?
Troy, your old Bob, or do you
How
want
do
to
you,
get it?
what's the best way to get them off?
Scrape it off.
It was carbonized.
Sure, get a new phone out of the deal too.
Yeah.
We've got some goo on if you need it.
You guys are gonna get drafted by Kansas City.
Is Dirk out there?
Or does it hurt if I just put this one over the top, Pat?
Just take something
I think I
else.
can get it, I can get it under it or something.
Mine peeled right off.
Mine is not indicated separate.
You must have had it in a pretty hot spot, and you got her all glued in really tight.
Thank you.
I don't even know, did I leave my other stuff around somewhere?
There we go.
I know it's your stuff.
The other, well, firstly, that I looked at that bid and everything's what I expected and okay, so I would recommend that we accept it. You guys are okay with it?
Moved by Piker, second by Weiss, to accept the bid for the used 4-yard loader. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The main thing, if I can find what I did with it, that I came up here now is the certifications for Bridge 211, which is that bridge right there. We do this with all of them, it's just telling them that we're gonna get the right of way and
Is that
the,
across the Maple, north of Frederick?
Yep, yep.
What the hell did I get to do with those things?
Can't blame IT, they're gone.
And that was the perfect time.
That is nuts.
You're right back at the office.
Last.
It's not in that stack?
It's gotta be. There's just nowhere else for them to be here. Ah, the contracts. Right where you left it. Right where you left it. It is right where I left
Where you had
it.
put it.
Kathy, these are just contracts.
Oh, for those bids.
For the bids. Okay, this is, there's two documents here. One is saying that we will address and relocate all the utilities. It's just, we do this all the time. So, right now, there's just wet water up there is the only thing that has to be moved. And they were notified like 2 years ago, so.
You need a motion?
I need a motion, yeah.
Move.
And then you gotta,
Got a motion by Piper, a second by Weiss to authorize a right-of-way and utility certification for Bridge 211. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Oh.
Motion carries.
this one, so this is for our big bridge. And this is the one where we paid for the engineering up front to get our points instead of just add more money to it at the, adding more match.
So it's ready?
Yep, so it's ready, and I'll have to look a little closer at it, but you get the same number of points for presenting it as shovel-ready. There's a semantics thing there. They get crabby if you call it shovel-ready, project-ready, or bid-ready. I can't remember, but you get the plans done first. And you get the same number of points for that as you do when we add 50% match. Except the last time we added 50% match, it's $1 million, and this, I think, is gonna be about $225,000. And you pay as you go. So, once you go to bid, you don't have another huge match, you just have your same 20% match that you would have anyway. So so far, I like how this is looking, and it looks like, when you're talking percentages of match, obviously the size of the bridge, 50% of a $2 million bridge is more than 50% of a $1 million bridge. So this isn't exactly apples to apples, because that other bridge that we put the 50% match on was bigger. But, this one's gonna be about $220,000, and you can buy the same number of points that you can get for putting in the 50% match. So I think dollar-wise, this is a better way to go. And you paid as you go. You don't have another obligation coming that you have to take care of. So anyway, blah, blah, blah. This is the right-of-way portion of it. That's saying we'll move the utilities, and this one says we'll take care of the right-of-way acquisition. Move it. Second.
So motion by Weiss, a second by Sutton to approve the right-of-way acquisition?
Acquisition.
Easy for you to say.
If it's an accusation, we gotta get these guys
Okay,
involved.
sorry about that. I was cited these, I wasn't really paying attention.
I understand.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Now
When
you
Ernest
got-
showed up, I was nervous already, so I think that's all I had, were those two things, unless you guys have anything else you wanna talk about.
Microservicing, 17 miles.
Oh, yes.
Where are those 17 miles?
Of course, the map's
Brown
rolled up
County.
right here.
Brown County 10 north to Westport.
South. Don't go north.
Hey, I apologize, I still haven't got our new maps up here yet. Okay, it starts where this gravel ends up here, so it'll be all of 6, all the way down to US 12. Okay? So all this. Anybody got a marker? That's better.
So it's, basically, it's just north of the North
The
Pit.
highlighter. I got a Sharpie.
This'll work.
Starts, north of,
Yeah, right around the curve. I don't know if this is a quarter mile up here. Then it'll come across the North Bridge, all the way down to the US 12.
down over the Richmond Dam.
Yep, around and all the way down to 12 here. And then we're gonna do this, same thing. And
Don't a couple
More work
commissioners
to our
live there?
road.
Yeah.
on this one,
Yeah.
boy, I really don't pay attention to where people live, Rachel. I just do what's best for the road. And then...
I was liking the south of
Put a line to
Westport
Rachel,
better.
though.
Yeah, let's see, right in here, I think, right, somewhere in here. And then all the way from Prairie Wood up to the Elm Bridge at north of the water plant. That's 17 miles?
It's pretty close.
1, 2, 3, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. By gosh, it is. So yeah, there you go. Should be about 40,000 a mile, I'm expecting. is what that'll cost. It's about double chip seal. The rudimentary way I kind of think of that is chip sealing is $20,000 a mile, and then you have your microsurfacing, which is $40,000 a mile, and it's I always call it no-bake cookies. That's what it looks like to me. It's the tar's got the rock in it kind of thing, and they sort of smear it out. And then asphalt in place isn't completely linear, but to buy the asphalt, if we're going to pave it, that's about double of that. So for $20,000, you can seal it and get a little chip seal on it. Microsurfacing, you're going to get some leveling in there, as well as the seal. And then, of course, asphalt for about $90,000 worth of asphalt, you can put down like 1.5 inches of mix. So that's sort of the relation in them. We haven't done the microsurfacing before. I've looked at quite a bit of it. I just want to see how it does. They had a lot of success in Minnesota with cold in place, like what we did on the Richmond Road and then what we did down at Warner. And then they come back and put the microsurfacing right on top of it. I don't think they've done that in South Dakota, but they do it in Minnesota. It's cold in Minnesota, and they have more traffic on their county roads, so I'm fairly confident that'll work. So the next one of these projects, probably next year maybe, will include this part that we did the cold in place down here at Warner, and we'll do a microsurface on that and another area down there, and probably the road to Warner, because of the traffic and stuff on that one. That might be one that will microsurface. But I'm going to start, if it's successful and the value seems to be there, I want to start doing a little more microsurfacing on the appropriate roads. You don't do this north of Sable. And then...
Or south of Westport.
Or south of Westport.
Booming.
But we'll probably do a little less chip sealing and a little more microsurfacing as we go forward.
You do a little more expensive, but it's a whole lot more as far as maintaining a good surface.
Yes.
So does there have to be some crack sealing go before the chip sealing?
Or you can do it, that's one of those things with two different schools of thought, okay? I prefer to do crack sealing ahead of time and then chip seal it. And that isn't always the best, because then your chip seal doesn't stick on top of the crack material sometimes. A lot of people are doing it to where they chip seal it, get it all swept off, and then crack it. It costs you more money because you're going over all those little rocks, and it takes more crack sealer if you do it after it's chip sealed, because the surface is, it's pretty microscopic, but it's a longer distance that you're filling. So, but yeah, you can do it either way, and nothing in that process prohibits us from, in 5 years, if we're like, all right, we can get away with chip sealing it, we don't need to do another heavier application, then you can still just chip seal over that stuff and treat it like everything else.
I think Richmond Road has really held up well. I looked, there doesn't seem to be many cracks in that at all.
The one that we did the cold in place on? Yeah.
That looks good.
When we first did it, when it first got done, it rode okay, but it kind of looked funky, and then there was a few, when we paved it, now when we went back through and paved it, we had some cosmetic things there that wasn't the greatest job of paving we had ever done. But I think when you put this process on there, I'm really comfortable with what's out there, so.
You still have a good stable base, it's just what you
Oh,
have
yeah.
for a surface finish on it.
And we did spend probably $10,000 doing subsurface on that before and there's so much more structure in that road than I would have ever thought was out there, And to Rachel's question, it turns out that a couple commissioners live on that road, but the other thing is I'm trying to match up what we do with what the existing road condition is for, you can't always do this stuff on all the roads, and of course, that's one that has high traffic, and I'm trying to keep the good stuff fairly good, and let the marginal stuff continue to be marginal until we get to it, I guess.
So can I get a traffic counter up by Westport, just to the north side of 11? I can spend a couple hours a day driving back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, put a camera there too, so.
Camera so we know.
That crap.
I guess that ain't gonna work.
But,
Well, I don't live there, but it begs the question, since you're talking about that area.
Yep.
That several mile stretch going to Prairiewood, the roller coaster.
yeah,
What's the latest plan on that, just out of curiosity?
no, that's, well, we're in our 2-year wait. I'm still waiting for the state to come pave that. They did get the project awarded, and everything is a go as soon as the state says it's okay to pave it this spring. I had talked to some crack leveler guys that were gonna come and do that, and I can't even tell you why. I've called him a couple times, and then I quit calling him, they're very busy, and they come and swing in and do the county work between stuff, but that's why it hasn't gotten those cracks leveled. But the other thing is, that's all on schedule, and it's in they awarded that project in the fall. And I tried even begging a little bit, because there was 3 days before the state wouldn't have let them pave anymore.
Yeah.
But they couldn't get moved in here and get it set up quick enough.
Did you say the state's taking that 5 miles over?
Yep, yeah.
They're gonna take care of it and put
Yep.
a state highway sign on
It's
it now?
gonna be US
Being
12
it's a
business loop. Yeah.
bypass?
Semis with pups all out.
Yes. Well, in a sense, I guess it sucks. I agree that the thing is...
Well, I just brought it up because
No,
it's
it's
crazy.
bad. Yeah,
It's rough. I drive it every day.
It is, and I had hoped that this thing would have been, they deferred it once, and I've been sitting here kind of hoping it doesn't get too terribly bad, because it's 2 years past when it needed to be done, and that's why we stopped when we did, and I guess you all know the story, but I'm
Crack
trying
seal
to...
guy probably drove over and
Maybe
said,
we-
I
I don't even want him to
it."
do this.
Maybe we could earmark the tax off the bean processing plant just to take care of that road.
Fine with me.
Yeah.
But the state is gonna pay for that, 1, 2, and all the way down to US 12
On 14.
on 14. So we're talking about $900,000 worth of paving that we do not have to do. So I totally get what your comments are, but we're not really in a position. I think we are just, on things like this, we're gonna have to suffer just a little bit
Yep.
to get our hand out. That Road 9 deal was a shit show, pardon, God dang it. Sorry, erase it and condemn me and all that, but that Road 9 deal was a pain. That was bad. And Road 7 even was bad. But now we're all done, and it's still not, I'm never gonna say that's a super highway, but we can go out and patch up a couple more spots on it and chip seal it, and without a huge investment by the county, yeah, it's tough making sausage that way sometimes, but without a huge investment, we're getting these roads, at least, we're extending the lives of them. And, I mean, I'm gonna continue doing that if we can.
And try and keep them, consistent. It's just really frustrating when you got, a paved section
yeah.
of road that you got quarter-mile sections of gravel intermixed in it. Because
Yep.
it just goes and you can't save it.
Yep, and we're getting closer on those. We don't have too many of those that are, I'm not saying we don't have any going east of Hecla is one that we gotta figure something out here in the near future, but I don't know, we've had some...
Trying to balance it.
Yep, little balancing act, and put the board stretcher on the money and see what we can do, I guess.
Well, the dry years help.
Yeah, it does help. I'm not gonna discuss this with the ag community, but I mean, purely from the road building standpoint, the thought of us not sitting here going, okay, we're gonna have to get this material ready to go fill this low spot in and excuse me, all that kind of stuff, that's as big to me as the plowing the snow thing. Yeah, it's a pain but you plow it and then you're hopefully done. Well, then it melts and that turns into a whole different program. So I'm at least optimistic strictly from the road standpoint. I don't know anything about farming, but
The hard
looks
surface
good.
stuff, but then you don't have enough moisture in the ground
Yeah,
to keep
it'll
the
be
binder
dusty.
together, so there's washboard, and it's always something.
Anything else for dirt?
Yesterday, we had a conference call, and one of the bills that we discussed was kind of a repeat of last year's one-time bridge fund that they came in with.
For
It
the
was
townships?
For counties.
Oh, yeah.
$20 million
Yes.
in federal, $4 million in state, and then about $1 3/4 million local match.
Yep.
So they're pushing that same program. Would we have any bridges that would qualify if that gets passed?
We'll find some, first off. But the one thing about that I'm not 100% squared away on is this is the third time we've got our one-time money, okay?
the first time the state had the money in their coffers or whatever to convert it to state dollars, and then we just got a check with no, you had to use it on this list of bridges, but there was no other federal regs or federal qualifications tied to it. The second time that we got the one-time money, that one, the state, whatever, didn't have the resources to convert it to state funds, so that's when we got, it was just more of a normal bridge project. Here's the list, you got to apply for a grant. The one we got is the Elm Lake Bridge. Spink County got 9, Beetle County got 7, made a whole bunch of people mad that they got so many.
Except them.
Except them, yes. So that was the second time. Now, what I don't understand here, Dwayne, is if this money that's being appropriated is so they could do it the way they did it the first time, to convert it into state dollars, so when we get them, they're state dollars. I think that's what's happening, but I don't know for Without certain. reading it, I can't answer that either, I don't know.
So then you got basically the same thing that happened before, that some counties are going to get left out.
Yes.
Some counties, so it splits, kind of tears the counties apart. Is
Oh,
what it
yeah.
does.
As a matter of fact, if you guys are really bored, and if you looked at that string of emails, the guy who, it kind of irritated me because he burned the place down on his way out the door. He was retiring. And then he's just shot off an email, and it wouldn't be so bad, except our group email of highway superintendents isn't just highway superintendents. There's a separate group over here for just highway superintendents that you use. This has consultants in it, it has some commissioners in it, and it has some auditors in it. And then we have one of the highway superintendents just going off on that Spink County and Beetle County don't do any of their maintenance. And that's why they get all these bridge grants, because over the last 65 years, they've been purposely deferring their bridge maintenance so that
Because they knew this was
they
coming.
knew this was coming in 2020. I mean, it was the most bizarre, and you would not believe what happened. So, to your exact point, the same discussion fired up last week.
Exactly.
And I'm no longer on the executive board, thank God, but I was getting some phone calls, and then I visited with the DOT a little bit about it, and I understand where they're coming from. But this money didn't get generated because Spink County has 9 bridges, and Beetle County's got 7, and Brown has 2, and Fall River has 3. We got the money because there's a statistic somewhere that says in South Dakota there's this many poor bridges, and this is how much money South Dakota's going to get to deal with their poor bridges. So the state takes about 50 cents for their poor bridges because they don't have any, and then the rest of that money goes to the counties. And then the discussion started, do we want to disperse, how do we want to distribute it to you guys? And they did go through the motions of calling us, which is just a complete fool's errand, because there's 66 counties. Guess how many answers you got? Probably 80. And so that turned into quite a deal. I understand where those guys are coming from. Some guys are like, well, everybody that wants a bridge should get one, and then you start through and do the second one. And I said, well, that's fine and dandy, except they gave us the money because of these poor bridges, and they don't care. And guess what's going to happen? We're not going to our statistics aren't going to look any better.
Yeah. So you're going to go based on sufficiency, and or somebody who's actually got the engineering done, or they've got percentage of match, or everybody just gets something and nobody actually gets to do anything, or what are you going to do?
Right. And we're actually somebody. I mean, those people say, well, yeah, you guys haven't done any bridge maintenance, so now you get this big handout. Being rewarded. Right, and I get that, but I'm gonna put 2 in on this new money,
But actually, in reality, you've made a concerted effort over the last several years to say, okay, this is how much money we have. It's not enough, but we're going to take care of ourselves as best we can, and we're going to rank the ones that are, not, that we need to do something with, and that fit in with what we're going to have for resources in the next 1 to 3 years.
They're getting rewarded for doing nothing.
Right, and that's the perspective. The thing with us is we have 38 fewer bridges than we did in 2000. We have 125 miles of less paved road, Rachel, than we used to.
And
I know where 10 of that's happening.
yeah, I know.
At least 20.
Is this right up here?
Right? We're very aware.
And I'm 13 and short. But what I'm getting at is you can't just sit and wait for, regardless of how you're doing it. We've been going pretty hard, reducing our obligations and trying to replace things and update them. We put in pipe in some places and you do all that stuff. And we're still qualified for a couple of grants. So, I mean, I'm gonna go get the money, and if it turns out that we got money for something that isn't as important as something in another county, well, so be it. That's
We filled out the
the way it
paperwork
works.
and
That's
it
the
qualified.
program. That's the program, so. But yes, 2 years, I know we get way off base there, but that's exactly what you're talking about. And I a couple of guys that have been highway superintendents for 30 years that I have a lot of respect for, we're sending out these whiny emails, well, everybody should get one, and I'm like, no, it's you fill out, here's the process, you do the process, and what happens, happens, so. All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks, sir.
Have a great day.
You too.
Stay warm.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Kathy, we'll go back to, we left off a training travel request.
Do you want to get back up to the HR report?
Are we ready for you?
I just emailed the Kurt's response on the part-time person, so whatever everybody wants to do.
Everybody get that?
I haven't read the email yet.
Well, let's skip that if you want to look at your,
I looked at it.
There's an out-of-state travel request by the Sheriff's Department.
Move. Second.
moved by Lee, second by Sutton to approve the out-of-state travel request by the Sheriff's Department. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Be going someplace warmer, but.
North Dakota. Set hearing date for microsurfacing.
Second.
Moved by Kipley, second by Weiss to set the hearing date for the microsurface.
Should we abstain?
Just on the portion of Richmond Road. The rest of it.
If we had one more commissioner out there, we wouldn't have a quorum, you wouldn't be able to do it. Right, you ever think about that? We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The majority of those eligible.
Set sale date for tax deed sale.
Second.
Moved by Kipley, second by Sutton to set the hearing date for tax deed sale. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Abatement.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Weiss to approve the abatements. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Back up to the HR report.
I'll move the HR report.
Second.
We have a motion by Kipley and a second by Weiss. All in favor to approve the HR report?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Do we have any public comment to come before the commission today? Not hearing anything. Ross, do you have anything?
I don't have anything to.
I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
One announcement. In visiting with the state's attorney and the sheriff on the dire situation that not only we're in, but other counties in our region are in, and know, as we heard today, a lot of the jails don't have room. We've organized a meeting of state's attorneys, sheriffs, legislators, and commissioners, whoever is able to attend, for February 20th at 1 o'clock to discuss any or all options for a solution. So we want the state's attorneys to kind of lay out where their county is at. We've invited the 10 counties in the 5th Judicial District, so it'll be at 1 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, February 20th, downstairs. And we've heard back from several legislators. I send invites to all the legislators that represent those 10 counties. All the county commissioners, I sent one to the auditors to pass on to their commissioners, state's attorneys, and sheriffs from those 10 counties.
So 2:20 at 1 o'clock.
Excuse me?
2:20 at 1 o'clock?
1 o'clock downstairs, correct.
Do you have to agenda that? Or do we, if we have more?
Oh, I guess if we're going to have a pool.
That would be the question I'd have if we're gonna end up,
I think we should notice it. I plan on attending.
Okay, we can notice it.
I think we probably should.
So I guess
Talked to
I'll
Bob
attend
Wilcox
as
yesterday.
well.
He's planning on attending also.
Okay.
So it'll be a regional conversation.
Right.
And that's at 1 o'clock on the
1
Saturday?
o'clock, yeah. You reserved the rooms from
Yep.
1 to 5, I believe, yes.
Okay. Sounds good.
Do we need to get in, spring workshop? Anybody going to that? Did you already pass that around, or do we need to?
Oh, I guess I didn't pass anything around for it.
We got it.
I'm going to the 18th, I will not.
When is it? March 18th?
17th,
Yeah,
18th.
17th, 18th.
It's a Wednesday,
I got an
Thursday.
agenda for our state association, so it should be coming out shortly here.
I didn't see anything yet on my email or anything, usually.
I don't know who Chris
March
sent it to.
17th, 18th, it's a Wednesday, Thursday.
Well, I won't be going, we'll be dead in the middle of camp.
We have an STACC board meeting that afternoon at 3 on the 16th, Tuesday.
I'll pass a sign-up sheet next week and get the registration in.
Sounds good.
Yep.
That's in here?
Correct.
17th, 19th March?
Correct.
And 4-H advisor review is at 10:30, but Dennis can't make it. Can anybody else sit in on that one? 10:30 this morning?
Are you're in on it,
I
right?
can, yeah. Usually we do 2. If not, no big deal. All right.
I can't do it, I've got a dentist
Yep.
appointment. Didn't realize it last week, found out about this week.
And I think Eric will be bringing a list next week so everybody can sign up for different months for different department heads, get that rolling.
Okay. Move to adjourn.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Pfeiffer to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.